Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm trying to keep an eye
Hello.
to see if anybody else needs to be let in.
I had a question real quick.
Sure.
Is it okay if we record the meeting?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I am recording it. Did it not tell you I was recording it?
It did, but I was just making sure that it was okay if I recorded it to look back on.
Sure, sure, that's fine too.
Thank you.
I thought I may end up having to do another information session and I would just provide access to a recorded session. So you guys are going to have to ask really good questions. And help me keep an eye on the waiting room in case anybody else joins us. But I have 6 o'clock, so I was going to go ahead and get us started. And so first of all, welcome to an information session. I assume you have some interest in our Weatherford College PTA program and applying to it, or else you would not be attending an information session. Well, okay. Well, my name is Cindy Lavine. I'm the program director and I'm one of the instructors. And my goal tonight is just to go through the application packet, the system of how to apply, and then talk a little bit at the end about the program and answer any questions that you have. I found that information sessions are really helpful because I get to talk to a lot of people and answer a lot of the same questions, I think, topics that come up. And then everybody else gets to benefit because somebody else will think of a question that they hadn't thought of to ask. So, because y'all all know this is being recorded. And let's make sure anybody else is in the waiting room. I'm going to admit them. And then we will get started. Okay. So welcome to our program. I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to go online to our application packet and talk about that. But before we do that, just a couple of housekeeping things. If everyone will, who's on our meeting tonight, if you will go to the chat room and put in your full name so that I know that you were here. And then in just a little bit, I'm going to give you guys a code for those of you that are submitting an application to the program. You're going to need a code. You need tonight's date and then a code for this meeting that you will enter in on your application. So while you guys are doing that, I'm going to go to share screen. And okay, do you guys see the physical therapist assistant program?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, do you see a full screen of it or a half a screen? Interesting, but
I see a full screen.
Yeah, full
okay.
screen.
All right, I'll mind it was a half a screen, so I'm now making it large again.
There
Well,
we
all right,
go.
so this is, all right, I'm gonna move that way back up to the top. All right, so this is our main application page, our main program page. I'm going to go straight to application information. And before we actually get started with going through the information that you need, a couple of things I just want to tell you about the program and the program's history that'll be important to you. They started the program in 2013. They admitted their first class. I was not the program director then. The McKelveys came from West Texas, Odessa College, and started this program. And then I came the second year of the program to be their third faculty. They came to this area to retire eventually, and they did. They stepped down a couple of years later. But really important, the program was started because there was a $2 million federal grant to expand healthcare programs and in rural areas. So Weatherford College has a campus in Mineral Wells, which is very rural, and that's where we started. The biggest thing about that $2 million grant was that there was plenty of money to buy any equipment. As long as we had space for it, we were trying to actually be very frugal because the part of that grant was $500,000 of it was going to be set aside in an endowment fund to support the ongoing program. And it was PTA and OTA were the programs that were started. And before the college could even qualify for the grant, they had to match that $500,000. So they had to go raise funds to match it, which meant $1 million, so that they could ensure the future security of the program. And one of the ways they do that is by providing scholarships. So for those of you that are applying, the scholarships for the Weatherford College Foundation are open now. Do not wait till you get accepted into the program. If you're going to be coming into the program, go ahead and apply now and make sure you put in your application that you are an applicant for the physical therapist assistant program, because that actually gets you some access to scholarship funds that nobody else has other than PTA and OTA.
Can you say that one more time?
Yes, it's the Weatherford College Foundation. And if you just go to financial aid, you're going to have to fill out a FAFSA for that. And even if you have a bachelor's degree, even though you won't qualify for financial aid, you can still qualify for scholarships. And so I'm just encouraging everyone to apply because it never hurts, right? If there's enough money in the year, our first priority are certainly to the students in the program, but then I think every year we've had some applicants that were eventually admitted into the program receive scholarship dollars. So that's an important thing. That should be worth your money tonight to show up for this Zoom session. And if you go to wc.edu on the main page, and you'll see a tab for how to pay for WC. Click on that and it'll take you to financial aid. And then from there, you click on scholarships. And it's open until March 25th. But don't delay. Go ahead and start applying. Okay, so that's one thing. So then the next thing you need to know about are some kind of good things to know about the program. We have revamped our admissions, our application process for this year. We've been trying to streamline it. And I'm really pleased to say this is our first year that we've done this and we've gone paperless. And I don't know how it's going to work. I think it's going to be great. But part of our streamlining it was looking at our admissions and our criteria for admission, and a few of those things changed. So a couple of questions that usually get asked about the program. I'm going to go through the program details and what our scheduling is like at the end of our discussion, because I really want to get through the application questions first. But as far as immunizations, we do not require the COVID vaccination to apply to the program. However, we try to let everyone know most hospitals will still require it. And we do 3 different clinical rotations, and you have to do 3 in 3 different settings. So it's going to be really hard to find all 3 settings that one of them wouldn't have required it. They are not required by law, I think, to do waiver programs for non-employees. But then again, some don't care. Some just say if you don't have it, you have to wear an N95 mask all day if you're with patients. So that's the biggest thing about COVID. We do have quite a few other immunizations that are required that they will not waiver on. It's MMR, your tuberculosis, Tdap. You have to have a TB skin test, but you don't have to have those to apply. If you get accepted to the program, we provide all of those. The only thing you really need in terms of immunizations to apply is your records that show when you very first started hepatitis B. And if you can't find those records, you can get a titer level done. It's a blood test, a lab test that can show that you have a high enough antibody level or enzyme level to be protective. All right. So just a few other things for those of you that have a bachelor's degree. This is new, but we realized we were out of sync with all the other health science programs. We were the only one that did not award some bonus points of some type for students already having a degree and being completers. So you do get, if you have a bachelor's degree, you get additional points. If you have an associate degree, you get extra points just for being a completer. And then if you have a certificate in one of the health science program and one of the workforce programs at Weatherford College, like the CNA certificate, and you're working in that field, you can get a bonus point. So anyway, I just want to let y'all know that. We'll look at that when we get down to the criteria. Okay, I usually get questions about our general education courses. We only require 5 gen ed courses for the entire program. All the rest of your 66 credit hours are in physical therapy. They're PTHA courses. Anatomy and physiology are by rule, have to be completed before you come in. We are now requiring that they be within the last, it says right here 5 years, but it's not. We actually had to change it to 8 years because I no longer have a test available to me for people that had like 1 in 5 years and 1 in 6 years. We used to let them test out. And I don't have that test available to me at the testing center anymore. So we just decided to extend our allowance to 8 years and collect some data on that for a few years. So makes A&P relatively simple. English 1301, a psych class, and then a creative class. Of the psych classes, you have a choice of a couple of them. Intro to psych, it's sometimes general psychiatry, general psychology, not psychiatry, or a developmental. And then a creative arts elective. That's one course of any of these lists down here. Since we are now awarding points for grades in those classes, not as high as anatomy and physiology, we kept our percentages the same that we've always kept them. Your grades in anatomy and physiology will count approximately 25% of your total points. It actually comes out to 24 points out of 100 possible. So those are really weighted high. The English, psych, they are 3 points for an A, 2 points for a B, 1 point for a C. So for a total of 9 points, whereas anatomy and physiology is worth 24 points total. So it's obvious that those grades are weighted higher, and that's because all the studies have shown anatomy and physiology makes an impact on how well you do in that class can determine how well you do in the program. There's not a lot of data that says if you are a really strong English student, you'll be a great PTA student. They just haven't seen that data. Okay, eligibility is pretty straightforward. You need a 2.5 GPA to apply. You have to have a HESI A2 test score. We've never required a minimum before, and of all the years we've gone back and looked that all the students that have been accepted have all had above a 75. So we just decided to make a 75 our criteria for admission. If you have below a 75, like if you're a 70, I'm not so sure. I wouldn't let that stop me from applying because it's the first year we've done it. And we don't know how that's gonna fly, but I would still apply for it. English proficiency, if you live in a country where English is not the native language, you have to show that you can understand English and can speak it. So there's a test that the college requires you to take. All right, everybody knows they have to attend an information session, so you're here. Tonight's the night. And then the next thing is the HESI test, HESI A2. It is our objective admissions test that we basically went to because Tarrant County was requiring it for a lot of programs, and several of our programs switched from the T's, mainly because the T's got so expensive and HESI was a little cheaper. So that's why we require that test. And you have to have you want a 75% or better on it. And you will have to enter those scores into your application, and then you upload your test scores in a document. And if you have not already scheduled to take your exam, you need to schedule it now, because nursing has a deadline for the end of February, as does sonography, and somebody else is right along their heels. So our testing center gets booked up. So go ahead and schedule an appointment, because the HESI test is a lengthy test. So it's 5 sections, and they allow an hour per section, but most people don't take a full hour for those sections, but it could be that you are a slow test taker, so allow yourself plenty of time. The only time in the past is if we have a snow day that comes up toward the end of February, we get really messed up, and we just extend our application deadline, because one day can put you back 2 weeks, because they have to reschedule all those people, and the end of February is already booked up. So sometimes it takes us into March to get that, but don't depend on it. So go ahead and try to get your test done now. So are there questions on the HESI test or on any of the Gen Ed courses?
Is the HESI test in a testing center, or is it an online test?
Well, it's an online test, but you go take it in the testing center. It has to be proctored.
Okay.
If you live far away from the college, I know they have some sort of system where they can proctor you online. I'm not sure if it's a Zoom system or if they're now using, one of the proctoring, like ProctorU or something. But they do have that opportunity, but you need to schedule that and work that out with the testing center. And here's, pardon, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, so say we take it the first time, we don't like our score, we take it again, will you accept a couple different grades, or just the first one? Sorry, I stuttered there.
So here's what the thing is. You can retake it, but they have to be at least 60 days apart. So if you're trying, like, let's say you took it last November and you want to try and improve your score, you're just I will take the score that you're submitting to me.
Oh, okay, got
I'm
it.
going to assume you're going to submit your best score.
All right.
My only thing is I want it to be in the last 2 years. Did that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
If you take it again and you don't score well, just don't give me that score and I won't know it's there. Okay.
Sorry,
All right.
I have one question too.
Yeah.
So if you're applying for different PTA schools, and if you take it through like the HESI website, can you submit your score through that, or you want it through Weatherford?
Well, I will need a PDF copy uploaded with your application.
Okay, perfect.
So don't have them submitted, because I need it when you're applying.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And if you're taking it anywhere else, just make sure you get in the 5 sections that you need. All right. We do require observation hours. We require 20 hours to be divided among 2 settings. So 10 hours in each setting. And you can select the settings you want to select. It can be aquatics. So you could go to an orthopedic outpatient clinic, or, private practice outpatient. But if they have a pool and they offer aquatics, then that could be considered a separate setting. but I don't want you to go to 2 different outpatient clinics. Unless they're very, very different, like one is a neuro outpatient and one is an ortho outpatient. But you could go to an inpatient rehab or an acute care hospital or home health. Pediatrics is considered its own setting. So,
And that, and I'm sorry, you said that that is also one of the prereqs, right? Like, so the, what you were just talking about, the 20 hours, that has to be completed beforehand, correct?
yes, that has to be completed by March 1st because here are the observation hour forms. It's that you document your hours and have them signed off on, and then you upload those with your application.
Okay.
Okay. And it's somewhere on the application, it'll ask you to enter in the number of hours, like you did 12 hours in outpatient orthopedics, and then you did 14 hours in a hospital. And then you upload your documents so we can verify that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And the question did not come up earlier when I was talking about the gen ed courses. If you are currently enrolled in any of the courses, you will get credit for being enrolled. So for ranking purposes, we don't hold it against you. I think everybody gets the same credit as a C for ranking purposes. Just make sure that when you submit your transcript, because it'll show in progress, like that you're in AMP2 right now, in progress. And so that's how we award that.
So I have a question.
Mhm.
So I'm still in ANP2 and I won't be done till like early May.
Yeah.
So is that okay if like I haven't finished it yet?
Yes, that's what I was saying. When you submit your transcript with your application, it will show that you are in progress. So we give you credit for being in progress. But we do our final notifications June 1st. So what'll happen is March 1st is our deadline. In April, I will send out an email saying, we're inviting you for an interview, or sorry, but you didn't earn enough points to be admitted this year. You would know that again. You would know either way in April. And then we'll bring you in May 8th, I think is the day of our interview. And then we give everybody a chance to get their grades posted after they finish their courses in May. Then you just email me a copy of your actual grade that you made in that course. I enter those grades, we do the final tally.
Okay, awesome.
So your final ranking is based on your actual grade, not just credit for being enrolled.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
With the observation hours,
Yeah.
do we have to use like the PDF that y'all have, or does it matter like what? Because I have like some, but I did like the clinic's paperwork for it.
That's okay. We will accept that as long as it has a phone number, contact information to reach them.
Okay.
And then it has what the setting is and your total number of hours.
Okay.
I
Thank
will
you.
accept other forms and I realize that even other schools have forms and we'll accept those.
Okay.
So quick question real quick about that. Where would you submit these hours?
Oh, how do you get those forms to us?
Yes.
It's in the packet and we're going to go through that in just a few minutes.
Okay.
And I'll show you where you're going to upload them.
Thank you.
Yeah, we are almost there. See, you're just a little bit ahead of me.
Quick question on May 8th, is that when the final transcripts would be asked for?
No, May 8th, and I'm going to pull up my phone to confirm this. May 8th is our interview date. We require, so what happens is when you apply, yes, it's Thursday, May 8th, so save the date. The top candidates that apply are invited to come back and spend either a morning or an afternoon with us, and we do interviews. You're going to be put with a group of students, and then those, usually it's 4 at a time, you will go through every process together. Like you come in and you meet with the panel, the interview panel, and we interview all four of you at the same time. We just kind of do round robin, asking questions, and you answer them, and we'll ask another candidate a question. So it's, I think the feedback we've gotten is that you don't feel like it's just one student, one applicant by themselves in a hot seat. You've
So-
got some other people you're going through it with.
So I was gonna ask, how many people are gonna get like to be able to do the interviews? Like, how many people are gonna get called back for interviews?
Usually the max we can interview is 36. Because that's usually all I can get in on my schedule. If I've got some really good folks volunteering, we can try and do one more session, which would mean we could interview 40, but we generally interview the top 36. And of course, this year with our new process, so far I've only gotten 5 applications. So I'm hoping all of y'all apply. Of course, it is tradition. Most people usually wait and they're going to upload theirs that very last week. So I won't know how many applications we're going to have until March.
So I was told that I would need my high school transcript and my college transcript, but the college transcript is only for this health and human sciences application. And so when is the high school transcript needed?
Well, okay, so hold on. I take in my application student copies, but I need student copies from all of your colleges or universities that you've attended. I don't care about your high school transcript. But when you have to be admitted to the main college, and the main college wants your high school transcript. And they are also going to want official transcripts from all of your institutions.
Okay, thank you.
But they don't have to have those in place by March 1st. But if you are admitted to the program, I can't register you. I can't change your major code until all those officials are in. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Quick question real quick. So then do we have to apply to Weatherford first before we apply to the PTA program?
Yes, and that's a really good question because that's coming up next. You have to apply to the college, and if you look on my website, here is your link to apply. It's a pretty quick online application, and they are going to ask you if you're interested in a health science program, and you can check physical therapy assisting or physical therapist assistant. They never have it correct, but you can click on that. That does not mean you're applying to my program. My program, the web will show you exactly how to get to my application on this page. And the reason why you have to apply to the college first, and it will take a few days. Once you submit your application, they will then start a cascade of events to create a WC student ID number for you. And then you will be given a WC email address, student email address. You will need both of those things to put on my application for the program. And on my application, those are 2 required lines. I'll show you. They're red starred. They won't let you click the submit button without having that information in there. So does that make sense? So for those of you that are going to be applying, go ahead and apply to the college. Start it tonight so that you will have that number. I have been told it can take up to 4 days to get that email back from them. So just a heads up. Go ahead and apply now. All right, so that's when you're going to apply to the college. We've already talked about your hepatitis B series. You just need the first date of your first vaccination by March 1st so that you can enter that date in my application. If you don't have your vaccination records and you've gone for lab test, make sure the titer says that you are protected against antibodies and not just that you had a titer done. And then you can put the titer date as the date. in place of the hepatitis vaccine.
What if I had to retake my hepatitis B for this and it's only like a few months old? Is that the date I would put in?
Oh yeah, put in that date. It's perfectly fine.
Okay.
This is a requirement for all the health sciences, because if the way it works in a 2 series is, of course, now they actually, I think I have one that they can do in a 1 series, but most of the time it's 2 series, and you have to have the second one 6 months later or 5 months later. And we want you to have at least 2 vaccinations of the Hep B before you would go to the hospital for even a field trip, because that's what they require. So, but if you've just recently had it completed, all we need for this application is your first date. I won't ask for you to submit your full documents until this summer if you've been admitted to the program.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, so now let's go. I'm going to click on the actual PTA application, and then I'm going to see if you guys follow it or if I have to stop sharing.
I'm gonna go ahead and leave this video only because I am way behind in terms of anything prerequisite wise. And
Okay.
I just feel like I mean, I know that this is beneficial, but I haven't even like started to even go back to school at all, and I feel like I am way in over my head for even trying to apply this year. So I know that it will be next year that I can apply.
Okay, well then I'll see you at an information session next year.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, bye. Okay, so can you guys see my application now? Did that pop up so you can see it?
Yes.
Yes,
ma'am.
Emily.
Okay. Great. All right, so one of the first things you need to see is once you start filling out the actual form, and in the last page of the form is where you upload your documents, you cannot save it at any time and then come back. So you need to screenshot these 9 steps on your computer so you can have everything ready, so that when you sit down and do this, and when you sit down and do it, it's really like 30 minutes. It doesn't take you very long. But you need to have all of your transcripts in a PDF form to upload. You'll need to have your HESI test. You're going to have your dates of your vaccine. So does that make sense? So you want to have everything ready to go when you sit down and do this. And then one of the things you do need is we want a very brief if you have a resume, submit your resume. But if you don't have a resume, create just kind of a brief outline. For those of you that are just coming out of high school, just talk about what you've done in high school, what kind of extracurriculars or work experience that you've had. Were you on committees in high school? Were you on the student government? Something just to kind of, besides just official transcripts, we want to know something about you. That would tell us things that you've enjoyed or things that you've experienced in your life. So you already know you have to attend an information session. So these are just the same instructions that we've already kind of been through. So I'm going to go down here to click Start. So now you are at the actual application. So anything that has the red asterisk is required. So you have to fill, obviously, your mailing address, city, state, your first name, last name. We do collect county of residence because you get extra points if you are a resident of Parker County. Your country of birth, that's for the college statistical information that they need. I always want, in case of emergency, to notify, because that way it's dumped down into a spreadsheet and I have that information. So this is where you're going to put in the date of your information session. And then you need a code number, don't you? So this is the code. I'm going to put it in the chat room now. So our code is Okay, well, we don't need the 0 in front of that. All right, so here is your code for tonight. Can y'all see that? It's 220-2555.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Make sure you get that in the chat room. So you will put today's date and then the code. And that shows that you've been here. A question here is, have you ever been arrested, convicted, even if it was a no contest? If it's yes, that does not stop you from being admitted to the program. It just means that you have to go do you have to reach out to our licensing board and find out. You'll have to send them your information to make sure that that would not stop you from being licensed. And if this is an issue, go ahead and just call me or email me and let me know, and I can walk you through that process. This is, once again, it's optional. If you have any other licenses or certifications you want to share with us. This is listing all of your colleges and universities. I could only make high school required because you are at least in high school to be able to apply. And even though I know if you've attended these courses, you will have had college and universities attended. If you want to put in work experience, this was on the old application and it just got left on this form. Since you're going to do a resume, we don't require that you fill this out, and there's no red asterisk. So if you want to share it with us, great. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. So you do have to have 2 references, and we need their full name, email address, phone number in case we can't reach them by email, what their relationship is to you. Was this a colleague from coworker? Was this an instructor? Was this a pastor? Is this a friend? It can be anyone, but not a family member. You can't have a spouse or a family member provide your reference. And then, how long have you known this person? In March, when I've gotten all the applications, we will send them an email link to a little short survey about you. And so it's questions like, are you dependable? Are you reliable? How do you handle yourself under stress? So you want to make sure you're selecting somebody that will know how to answer those questions. All right, this is where you're going to enter your hours for your observation. This will be any setting that you went to, whether it's outpatient and 10 hours. You could be in an acute care and you work 2,000 hours because you were a full-time employee there. As long as it was under a PT or a PTA. And then your hepatitis vaccine, the date of your first immunization, or your lab test. This is just you're going to certify that you are TSI complete, which means that if you tested and needed remediation courses, they need to be complete before you apply to our program. And that you need to have at least a cumulative GPA of 2.5. And we'll verify this, but if you can't figure out what your GPA is, reach out to one of our academic advisors.
And how do we find out our TSI complete?
If you have an official transcript, and some unofficials, it will tell you if you're TSI complete in the top corner.
Okay, and we can find that like on our high school or college?
Yes.
Okay.
You should be able to find that on your college transcript.
Does the same go for if you're in a remedial course? Like if you're currently in one this semester, will it like count the same way as all the other courses?
Will it count the same way as all your? Oh, you mean like credit for being enrolled?
Yes,
Like
ma'am.
if you are finishing up your final remediation course this semester, it will probably not say you're TSI complete, but you can email me and let me know what's going on. Because by the time we would do the final ranking, you would be TSI complete.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so then this is a sheet, you know those 5 general ed courses we talked about? We want you to put the school or the university that you attended, where you took AMP1, because it might have been at Tarleton State. And they might not have called it Biology 2401. They might have called it Biology 311. The name that it was called, the semester and year you took it, and then on the, hold on. I think I have to unzoom. Oh, here we go. Now you can see everything. And then the semester you took the course, like I took this fall 2020, and then the grades you made in it. For each one of these courses, remember AMP 1 and 2 have to be done. You either have to have a grade or be, if you're in progress, you can put in progress, IP. You need to put an IP or an E for enrolled. I'll accept either one of those. And then for English, your psychology or a creative elective, if you want the points for those, you have to tell me, put them on here, and then let me go look at that transcript. Because this way they get entered, and all I have to do is scroll through your transcript, and I can just verify. Okay, yes, you took this course, this was your grade. Yes, you took this course, this was your grade. And then down here, if you have any special notes, like, you know, this was an out-of-state course. I met with an academic advisor and it's the equivalent. So I can say, oh, thank you. Tell me who you talked to. But the main thing is we offer bonus points. I think you can get a bonus point if you took a college level medical terminology course. We can't require that as part of our gen ed courses, but we can award additional points for it. And since it's not on here as a course, but tell me the semester and where you were when you took it and your grade, and you'll get bonus points.
I have a question, sorry.
Yeah.
What about term methodology is similar to care class?
Uh-oh, I'm sorry, you were cutting out.
Oh, sorry, my internet is not a. Can you hear me better?
And now I can hear you.
Oh, okay. So my question was, medical terminology course, similar like a patient care course?
Oh, are we only if you have a certification in a patient care course? Like if you took if you have a CNA or a CMA,
okay,
then you can get a point awarded. But the only other course we're awarding that right now is medical terminology.
okay, but that will we count to the patient care in this case?
Would we count patient care?
Yes.
Yes. If
Okay.
you've got direct patient care for a year.
Okay.
And then
All
the
right.
only thing you have to do to submit to get a bonus point for that is a letter from your employer.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a quick question real quick about some like the extra programs and stuff you get for points. So like I took a rehab aid program kind of as like a, you know, for like to like be like a tech for physical therapy.
Yes.
That like would that get me anything extra or would that not?
I would love to say that would get you something extra, but no, because it wasn't at Weatherford College.
Okay, thank you.
And those rehab courses are expensive. So I'm sorry I can't offer you credit for that.
It's all right.
Okay. All right. So at the bottom of this form, because we couldn't figure out where else to put it, we want you to actually enter in, type the scores of your sections of your HESI, and then what your overall score is. And really, that's just saving me from having to type in a lot of numbers. if you enter them and you're careful about your own, I can verify that with your test score that you're going to upload. And I can see if you made any typos, right? But if I'm entering them and I'm entering in all of these for everyone, the error rate goes up. So we're trying to avoid mistakes.
I have a question
Yeah.
about the prereqs. So I'm about to graduate with a bachelor's degree. How
Mhm.
easy could my credits transfer? Like, are they automatic for those 5 courses, or does it depend on what school?
Well, it just depends on what courses.
Okay.
You know, like I'm gonna assume if you have a bachelor's that
Yeah,
you would
I've
have had
taken all
English.
those.
Yeah, if you've taken them all, then yes, they would. As long as you went to an accredited school, they should transfer.
Okay, thank you.
Just submit your official transcripts to the college
Yes, thank you.
and then submit student ones to me. Well, okay, so now we are to the page where we have all of our, what I call the information and disclosures. There are things like essential functions of the PTA. We want you to be able to do all of these tasks because if you can't do these functions, you won't be able to get a job. So I have, like here, you can just click on that. Oh, it won't. I don't think that link. Did you just follow that link? Do you see the essential functions now?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
good. All right, so here are the essential functions. So we just set it up so you can do, I'm gonna, hold on, let me move this out of my way. And I'm gonna close that back out. All right, so every one of these just goes to a brief piece of information. The other is about clinical information and assignments. It's how we do our clinics. We go all over the place. Our clinic sites are from Dallas, Wichita Falls. We have one close to Oklahoma. We go down to Stephenville and as far out west as Abilene. Now, that does not mean if you are in Dallas, we're going to make you go to a clinic in Abilene. You get some input into where you go, but you don't get sole input into where you go because we have so many criteria that we have to meet. We have to make sure you have a variety of settings and that those settings will get you the adequate variety of patients so you can get all your skills checked. But so it's telling you that you may have to drive for a clinical. Usually it's like an hour, most people. So that just shows you how our assignments are made.
So I have a question on that because
Yeah.
I actually live in Abilene.
Uh-huh.
So I know you said y'all have a clinical site out here. Does that apply to all of the clinicals that need to be done, or is it just like one?
I think she has, and Miss Christy Mills is our director of clinical education. I know she affiliates with the hospital in Abilene, and I'm pretty sure there's one in Eastland. I think there's either a hospital or a clinic in Eastland and Ranger and maybe Brownwood. Brownwood might be kind of far. But there are a few out there. We have had students that live in Abilene.
Okay,
And
awesome.
usually you get your pick of those places because nobody else wants them.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh. The only thing is if you are working, have you worked in those hospitals as a tech?
I am currently a full-time tech at Encompass Rehab.
Okay. Which means you probably won't go back there for your clinical experience.
I've talked with my boss because we do a lot of student clinicals there through like ACU, HSU. And he said that they've done it before where they've had a tech come back and do clinicals, but we have to quit. And I don't know if it's for a certain amount of time or what it is. But
yeah, that would be something to bring up with Christy Mills. As a general rule, it's not in your interest as a student to do that.
Okay.
And she'll explain why, but it could be that it could maybe work. I'm not going to say no, but I'm going to say that's outside of the spectrum of what we can talk about right now.
Right.
But
Right.
usually there's not that big of an issue of trying to get somebody placed. Certainly if you're out rural like Abilene.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so the next information is everybody, if you are offered a slot in the class, it's conditional in that you have to pass a criminal background check and you will have a drug screen. Both of these forms just tell you if something comes out positive, who all can have access to that information. We tried to keep it as it's only who has a need to know, but that tells you how that information is released. Same thing with your health information, like your vaccination records and your TB test. This is a financial aid eligibility disclosure. During the summer, between your first year and your second year, our clinicals are worth 2 semester credit hours. So you will be, even though you're in clinic 40 hours a week, in the summer, you will not qualify for financial aid just based on the hours that you're taking. And then the spring of our second year, you'll be taking 6 semester credit hours. So you will qualify, but you'll qualify for it 50% of whatever that financial aid is. So that is that disclosure. Student informed consent. I never thought I'd have to do this, but I have to get your informed consent. We are a hands-on profession and we practice all of our skills and all of our testing on each other. So you have to kind of consent that you agree to touch other people and come in contact with them, and that you're going to let them touch you and come in contact with you. But it's all going to be very professional and very modest. But and we don't ever make a student do something that they are just completely not comfortable with. But we touch each other. It's physical therapy. So that's just, if you really have problems with that, you're going to have a really tough time in our program. This is that COVID information. I've already told you about that one. Other information about the program, it's just telling you access to our handbooks and our clinic policies, how we get assignments. And then this is a list of all the requirements you're going to need to do if you get accepted. Like the criminal background check, the drug screen, you're going to have to collect all of your immunization records and submit those. And then here's a link to our handbook that's online, the ClinEd manual, and the main college policies. And we have to have that available to you by our accreditation. So that's it. Once you start doing that, you put in your name and your initials, like I could do CL, CL, and apply. And then once I've read them, I just click and it initials that I've read them. And then you sign that document. And then here's where you upload your other documents. You click here to upload your transcripts. I put a spot for 4 transcripts. If you have more than that, you can scan them into one file and upload them. This is where you put your HESI scores, your observation hours, your resume, and then this is additional information, like if you have a letter from an employer that you want to submit, or maybe you need an additional transcript. And that's it. Once you get through all of this, something I want you to notice really quick, if I come over here and I've been entering in some information, I'm going to get rid of that little thing. Do you see this little box over here? It says next field required.
Yes.
It is showing that I still have 70 fields that are required that I need to complete. And you notice every time I fill one out, that number will go down. Now, I'm not telling you to fill yours out with just typing multiple letters in there, but it will not let you submit your application until all of these things have been met. So if you want to get to the end and submit it, once they're all complete, a button will come up that is telling you that you can review it and submit it. And then once you do that, it will email you your application to review. So you go to your email address. That's how they verify that it's a correct email address. And then you verify it. And when you verify it, it emails me the completed document, and it CCs you a copy of that. So that's our application.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, with the like observation hours, how do you get those done? Like, do you have to go to the clinic and like ask them about it? Should I call them, or like how do we get those?
So the easiest thing that I recommend is you can just put in your phone on Google physical therapy near me, and it'll start pulling up all these clinics. Most all of the clinics, and certainly around here, know that our program exists, and they also know that we have observation hours. So you can say, hey, I'm applying to the PTA program at Weatherford College, and I need to get some observation hours in. Can I come observe at your clinic? Can I come shadow you? The only thing is, when you're going to call them, ask for the physical therapy clinic directly, because the people in the other departments may not understand or know. Even if you're going to like Medical City, call the physical therapy department, then they will direct you to the correct person that will say, yes, you can come here, but you have to do, like if you go to one of the obviously larger hospitals, they're going to make you go do more orientation and signing off before they're going to let you just go walk through the hospital to observe patients.
And it doesn't have to
Okay.
be just hospitals, right? It could be like outpatient therapies and stuff.
Correct. It can be any two settings you have an interest in, as long as it's under a PT and a PTA.
Okay, thank you.
Does
But
it
if
have to
awesome.
be
Thank you.
two different settings, or can it be like if you have like two outpatient places, but they're like different locations? Does that still work, or does it have to be two different settings?
No, it has to be two different settings. That's what I'll say. It can't be two different locations, because we want you to experience at least two different avenues of physical therapy.
I work for an outpatient clinic, and we offer outpatient and aquatic. So can I put those as two different things?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That works.
I have a question, regarding with the letter from the employer.
Yeah.
It has to be, specific if you work in the healthcare, or it can be any type of job.
No, it has to be in direct patient care.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. We just find that that's people that are already used to working with patients really kind of hit clinics a little bit ahead, because they understand talking to patients and how to relate to patients. So that's why we want to reward that experience. And it can be in physical therapy if you've worked as a tech. I just like to see at least average of about 32 hours a week.
And it can be like only observation hours, or it has to be an employer.
Well, so for the bonus points, it has to be an employer
Okay.
for 32 hours a week. For your observation hours, that's just 20 hours, and you can have more than 20. We don't award bonus points for that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, quick question. If we were like shadowing or working under a PT like about a year or so ago, how would we be able to submit that if we don't remember the exact dates necessarily?
You can estimate that as long as they are willing to work through that estimate with you.
Okay.
And sign off and agree to it. That, yes, I know you were here. It was in April. And all you have to put is March to May 2024, that Joe Blow did 20 hours or Joe Blow did 12 hours.
Okay,
You
thank you.
don't have to put a documentation of like a sign-in sheet for each day.
Got it. All right, thank you.
And patient experience counts. If you've been a patient in physical therapy and you can go back to the PT that you saw, I think that really counts. Okay.
I have a question regardless where the observation hours worksheet. I am working right now on my observation hours. And in the paper says facility name and the facility information. What is the difference?
Oh, the facility name would be you were at sport therapy. And
Okay.
then the facility information, or I'm assuming it's the facility setting, would be sport therapy is outpatient orthopedics.
Okay.
You know, it's an outpatient clinic.
Yes,
If you were at Medical City Hospital, then it could be acute care clinic. If you were at Kindred Hospital, it would be acute care long term. So does that make
okay.
sense? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
I have a question as well.
Okay.
So I work at the moment. I am a physical or PT tech at Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute,
Yeah.
and would that count as the like working there as the observation hours, or is that just a whole different thing?
No, you can use your hours as a tech as long as you are under a PT or a PTA.
Okay. And another thing, I know you just mentioned being a patient at a physical therapy office. I was a patient earlier last year
Yeah.
at Lake Granbury Medical Center.
Mhm.
But would that count as well as observation hours?
Yeah, you can put that as a different setting.
Okay, great. Cool then. All right. I just wanted to make sure if that was gonna work or not. Okay.
That'll work.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, good. Any other questions about the application itself? I'm going to quit sharing on that. And then I'm going to go back to the, oh wait, let's see if I can get back to my website. Did you guys follow me? And now we're back to my website on application information?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I had a quick question. So
Sure.
you said when you're like filling out the application for the PTA program,
Yes.
that once you start doing it, you can't exit and come back?
True. I'm so sorry about that.
It's all right. I just wanted to clarify.
Yes, it is. But you saw what you had to fill out in those pages and then what you had to upload. It'll probably be faster for you than it was the time I took to talk about it, depending on how fast you type. Yes, I tried. I tried to get them. The only way to do the other one is they end up charging, the Adobe people end up charging per page and per page that's uploaded. So it can get really pricey. And I didn't want to have to charge for applications. So that's the cost. You have to sit there and do it all at one time. Well, okay. So I'm going to come back then really quick because here is the selection criteria. So we were talking about the points that you earn in the classes. You can actually pull this up and start adding up your own points. So like if you made an A in English, it's 3 points. If you made a C in English, that's 1 point. If you made an A in one of your anatomies, it's 12 points. If you made a C in one, that's 8 points. So you see how much higher anatomy and physiology is weighted. And then your HESI, the only thing that we're actually counting in on the ranking is your overall score. And you multiply your overall score times 0.25. And that will tell you how many points you're getting for your HESI score.
Quick question real quick.
Yeah.
So I know you said earlier that if we're doing a class currently, like we're taking it at right now, that it technically gets counted as a seed. Will that update later on as like the time goes on? And
Yes. So at the end of the semester, if you're selected for interview, what happens is during the interview, we let you know as soon as your grades get posted, you just email me your updated transcript. And then I enter in your actual dates and we do the final tally.
all right, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Here were the bonus points if you have additional degrees. Like if you have a bachelor's, it's 4 points, associate 2, workforce, and it's got to be from WC, you get a point. And then here is for prior work experience. If you've worked as a PT tech, to say full-time, I really consider 32 hours full-time. And direct patient care, you can get a point. In other areas of healthcare, you get half a point. Like as a CNA or a CMA, as long as it's in patient care.
So
if you've had oh, go ahead.
So I was gonna ask, does that count like if you like worked as a receptionist at a doctor's office or like okay.
No, it's got to be if you were the CNA taking their blood pressure and taking their weights and working in the lab to do direct patient care with them to draw their blood. I'm sorry, receptionist, insurance, the business office doesn't count.
All right,
And
thank you.
that's important experience. But we found that that doesn't always carry over to helping people in our clinics. All right, so additional coursework. If you've taken a medical terminology, it has to be at least a 2-semester credit hour course and have a B, and you get an extra point. If you are a resident of Parker County, because that's our tax base, you get 2 points. If you live in Wise County, you get 1 point because they pay taxes to us as well. And then the day of the interview, you're going to do 4 different things. You're going to interview with the panel. You're going to do a team project because you're going to come in and get paired with some other people. You will have a group of 4 of you. So you have to have a team challenge. You get points on that. You will also meet with our current students and interview with them. It's a little more informal. And all of those add up to your interview points. And they're all average. So there isn't one person you're going to meet on an interview day that can ruin your chances. We are more objective than that. And we're really proud that our current students have a big role in selecting our next group of candidates. And then you are also going to have a written essay, and we do that the same day as the interview. And really what we're trying to determine is, can you formulate a thought, put it in writing, articulate it, or form an opinion, and then defend it? Because we have to do that on a daily basis in healthcare. You are going to have to form an opinion about your patient. You're going to have to assess where they are, and you're going to have to defend to a doctor and to a whole team of people in a meeting to say, hey, this patient cannot go live by themselves at home because they don't have anybody at home and they need minimal assistance for transfers. They aren't safe walking by themselves. So it means just being able to form an opinion and justify it. So we want you to write an essay. Now, the essays are just different topics, but they're all something that we want you to form an opinion about and then defend what your opinion is. And that is, you can make 10 points possible on that. So we add all those up, and those are the final rankings. So here is where your breakdown of all your points are. The prereqs, general ed, 30, HESI, the written essay, and then additional points. So, once you're accepted, These are all the things that we're going to need. And I think we've already talked about those. Now, program cost, I think they took my sheet away. Let's see if this one's still here. It might be defunct. Oh, 2 people are in my waiting room. Oh, Drake got booted off again. He keeps getting dropped off. Sorry about that. Okay, so you know what? It's blocking my program cost. If you go to my PTA handbook, I have an estimate broken down of program costs by the semester. But the cost link on our webpage, they've taken it down because they found that too many of us had old costs and they weren't updating them. I promise you, I just updated mine in December. Now, if tuition goes up in August or fees go up in August, those costs will change, but I don't think they're going to. I think our governor put a mandate for 2 years, tuition cannot go up. So this is the year to come into the program. Because every other year in the past, tuition's gone up, fees have gone up, but the government made a mandate that they wanted all community colleges to freeze tuition.
So where do we find your handbook to break down the pricing?
There's a link to it in the application, but you can also, right here where it says information and disclosures, all of those things were actually linked right here. So if you want to read those ahead before you go into that program, and then let me move this over here. Over here where it says, on the right-hand side where it says policies and procedures. Now I have to move this back. Click on the student handbook. Now, did you guys just follow me to the handbook?
Yes, ma'am.
Yay. Now this is for 24-25. However, hold on. Oh, it's still loading that. I think I put my updated cost in here for next year. That's our curriculum. Okay, no, hold on. This still has for 24-25. Let me see if that fee is in here. No, this is still 24-25, but okay. There is, I can tell you right now, the tuition for 24-25 should still be the same. The only difference is there is a student services fee that has been added, and it is a whopping $250 per semester. Even in the summer, when you're only taking 2 semester credit hours, you still have to pay $250. That's what's not in this one. That's why I updated my other one in December. They made that fee mid-year. So I apologize, but I didn't have any control over that. They did that so we can get a new student services building, I think. And then this just kind of gives you a breakdown of some of the other costs, like what the certified background cost, what the drug screen cost. A document management system. However, this is now grouped into a course fee, so it's not an additional fee, cost. So does that help you figure out those costs? It's pretty close. I would add at least $250 per semester to that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, for that student services fee. And I have tried to think of everything in here, literally, like, these are what your books cost, and that's if you buy them at the bookstore. Most people don't spend that much on their books. Uniforms, because you have to have a program uniform coming in, and I estimated that at 100. And then if you'll notice, when you get to the spring for summer, clinic uniforms, another $100. So, you know, I really try to think of everything other than basic school supplies. All right, I'm gonna head back to our website. I'm gonna stop sharing. Maximize that. Well, we have covered a lot of information. I feel like I've been talking really fast. So are there questions about the application? Okay. Hey, Drake, I saw that you are getting bounced off a lot. The code for tonight, in case some of you have just come on, the code for tonight's session that you will need is in the chat room. It's 220-2555. So make sure you put that. And then if you have not put your name, type your full name just in the chat box. So that's what I'm going to be able to use for a documentation that you were here.
I have a question that might be kind of unique to my situation. I'm graduating high school this year, and I'm going to be a student athlete at Weatherford, but I'm interested in becoming a physical therapist. And so I was really interested in this program, but I'm curious how realistic you think it would be to be a student athlete and being in this program. Should I actually be looking at something different? That would just give me foundations for setting me up for a different program in the future?
Yes and no. Okay, so if you are an athlete, certainly if you're on scholarship, the biggest problem is you still have to make up and do all of the additional work, and you miss a lot of time in class if you're an athlete.
Yeah.
And my students cry if they have to miss a day
Hmm.
or two. So my theory is it's just really hard, and it's hard on you. I'm not so sure I wouldn't want to go be an athlete, start on all the prereqs, get that done, and then work on continuing your core, your core courses while you're an athlete, and then come into the program.
Okay. And like I saw on the website, an Associates of Science, I think it is. Is that a program that aligns with some of the prerequisites that would make sense? Or do I just register for some of the courses, trying to stay on track as much as I can with the general electives?
Oh, so I would do for the associate in science.
Uh-huh.
That's what I would do for core.
Okay.
And because that will get you, even if you decide later on that you're thinking, I'm thinking I may go on to PT school. That's getting you in the same direction of those courses.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Congratulations on making the team.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, speaking of athlete, I don't know if you're going to be living in the new dorm. For those of you that would be moving to Weatherford and you want to live in the dorms, do not wait until you've found out if you were accepted. Go ahead and apply for housing now through the dorm. I think they make you put in a deposit, but you get that deposit back if you need to cancel. And you can do that, I think, up to a week before you move in. But if you wait until summer, when you've been admitted to try to sign up for housing, they'll be filled. And you won't be able to get housing.
Are the applications for that already open, or is that not till later?
I think applications for housing are open now. That's a good question. I think they're open. I think they open maybe when early registration opens, which is going to be next month, but I don't know. Let me go see if I can find out. Hold on. Does anybody else have another question while I'm looking this up? Campus life, housing. Application information for housing. For spring 2025. They might not be open yet. Oh, wait. No, this still has for fall for 2024. So I would check back with them and see when they're going to open up housing applications. But I say as soon as they do, apply.
Okay, thank
At
you.
least that's what they've told me. I had a student last year that waited too long, and she was like freaking out because I'm just not going to come into the program this year because I can't get housing. I'm like, okay. So I just hate to lose somebody because they couldn't get housing. Okay, so questions? Does anybody have any questions about life in the program? First thing is to get in, huh?
Yeah. I have a question about the clinical. So the first year is gonna be lecture, or is also mixed clinicals and lecture on the same time?
So the fall and spring, the first 2 long semesters are all didactic coursework. It's lecture and lab. We do a whole lot of hands-on with each other in lab, and we have a couple of field trips where we go to the hospital, and we have quite a few guest speakers that will come to us. But it's all coursework until the summer after your first year. And we're very unique in that regard, in that it takes us so long to get you ready for that first clinical, but all of our clinicals are full-time 6-week clinicals. So you will go do an ortho outpatient clinic for 6 weeks, and you will be out in clinic 40 hours a week. And you will work whatever hours your clinic instructor works. Just like an employee there, and you'll pick up a full patient load and carry that patient load. And we do 3 full-time rotations. One is ortho, one is acute care, and it's an inpatient, and then the other is a neuro rotation. And some of those are inpatient rehab. We have some neuro outpatient clinics as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of facilities send students out much earlier, like part-time, and we don't. It's too hard to try to keep up with that. And the clinics would forget what day you're coming. And this way they're prepared. They know. We have to, matter of fact, we have to let hospitals know in October. It's like when you guys come in August and start class. The end of September, you will be making your clinic decisions for the next summer. And then we have to give them your name and confirm the slot for the next summer. And that's in October. So that's just physical therapy. They're a little anal retentive overachievers, like to get things done well in advance. So, yeah. So you'll know where you're going to go for clinic pretty early.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. I'll say one of our students right now is at a clinic where they're doing 7 on, 7 off. She works 7 10-hour days, and then she has 7 days off. That's a really odd schedule, but.
But I have a quick question. So about how many hours a day would you say we have classes? Because I'm just trying to think of like how it would be balancing a job and going to school.
Okay, it's really difficult, especially the first year. It's actually a little easier to work your second year than it is your first year. So we are a full-time daytime program. So our classes they go from 8:45 to 11:45 in the morning. And then we go from 1 to 4, 2 afternoons a week, and then 1 to 3:30. So that's a lot. That's a lot of time in a classroom or in a lab getting a lot of information thrown at you. And then we go Fridays half a day. So we're done by noon on Fridays. And then the second year is 4 days a week. But keep in mind, those first clinicals are either going to be ortho or they're going to be acute, and we have to get you ready for any of those patients. So there's just a lot we are throwing at you this first year. And I have had students, I say don't work. I say if there's any way you can not work, not work. I'd rather you take an extra year to come in so you can work and just sock money away, so that when you come in, you don't have to have as many hours. Because the hours you can work are pretty limited. It's weekends. So if you've got a job where you can work weekends, or just a couple of evenings a week, because you have to have study time and sleep time and travel time to and from campus. So it is really difficult. We do have students that do it. I mean, I have students that work. You have to be very organized and very disciplined, and pretty doggone smart to be able to keep up with studies and still work. They found they've done some actual research, and they say that working about any time, the percentage of time you work over 10 hours a week increases your risk for failure in the program. So, and that's in any of them, any of our PT programs. So we try to say, if you can try to keep your work schedule 10 hours that first year, it's doable. But second year, you can work a little bit more. Does that help?
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
does that
Thank you.
Does that depress you?
No, I appreciate the.
Okay, good. All right. Any other questions? We've gone an hour and a half. I hate to keep you late, but if you need to log off, you've got your code, you've got today's date, and if you don't have any more questions, you are welcome to sign off for the evening. If you have a few more questions, I'm going to stick around and I'll answer any other questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're
Thank
very
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a
You
good
too.
night.
I'm looking forward to your applications.
This is the last session, right?
Well, I think I've been getting some phone calls of people that could not make it, so I'm going to probably do one more session, or I will post this recording of a session.
All
And
right.
if you have any other questions, you can call me or email me.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
All right. Bye. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah. All
Thank
right.
you.
You're welcome. Okay. So Drake, you're hanging around, or Zach, do y'all have a couple more questions?
I definitely missed half of it, so I'll probably attend the second orientation that you have to the, I guess, technical last.
Okay. But at least you know you have a code.
Yes, thank you. Thank you
And
for
you
working.
can, yes, and you can read through the application packet. But meanwhile, I will figure out how to post a recording of Zoom. We'll find that out. All righty.
Yeah, I missed the first half too.
Oh, you did?
Told me about this meeting. I didn't know it was going to happen.
Well, okay, so you have today's date and you have a code. You can see that in the chat room?
I wasn't able to see the code, but whenever you said it a minute ago, I was able to get it.
Okay, so at least you have that to apply. And I have to find out, since I have everybody put their name on here, how I can post this, if the college will allow me to just post this recording, or else I will just schedule another information session. So if you want to come sit through another one, you're welcome. Or if you think you have enough information and you can read what's online and see now that you've been through a little bit, you can navigate that on your own. I won't make you attend another session.
So when's the last, or I guess when's the start and the last kind of dates when we can actually apply? Like put in
The hard deadline will be March 1st.
March
Okay.
1st. Our deadline.
March 1st. The only thing is if we get a snow day in or bad weather, a couple of times, because our testing center gets so bogged down in February, there have been some times, like last year it was a fluke. They had a full testing day and everything went down. They couldn't get anything back up. So all of those students had to get rescheduled. And they were getting rescheduled when they didn't have any slots left. So there were some people that I had to we just extended it for. But that's just because it was the testing center. So y'all should bank on March 1st.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So any other questions?
I think that's about it for me.
Well, all right. You have my email and you have my phone number. Let me know if you have any others.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Professor Lavine.